with a special Games and Live, or Games and Storms Live edition. I got my gaming computer here. Obviously, can't be streaming from this if it's unplugged and on the table here. So you might be wondering, what's going on? Well, let me show you here. I got some gaming part upgrades, new motherboard, and a new processor to go with this. So, over this, don't know how long it's going to take, we will be upgrading. Hello, Delvin. So, thank you for joining me, Delvin. So, essentially what's going to happen is the gaming computer, the motherboard is basically the backbone. Everything connects to the motherboard. So, I pretty much have to take everything off. So I got the graphics cards in there. Those got to come out. The CPU cooler has to come out. And we'll be using something called thermal paste, which is semi-toxic. So I have some gloves and stuff like that to put that on. Then I'm going to try and keep mostly everything in there. Like the cable management stuff from the power supply should still fit because the motherboard is the same form factor. So it should still all work. I shouldn't have to re-cable anything, but we'll see how that goes. So let's start here. Just by really taking everything apart. Oh, before I switch over there, can't have a live stream without a good drink. Now, even though Guinness is properly drinking out of a Pilsner glass, these are not bad. Cheers to a good game stream. I'm off of work tomorrow, so in the morning at least, and then I'll have the podcast in the afternoon, so I don't have to worry about anything. So let's get started here. Hello, Anthony. Thank you for joining me. I was hoping you were going to join me this time, just because you saw the little bit of minor upgrades. So we upgraded the graphics cards, which were in there. So this time, those will be coming back out. And when those are coming out, a lot of things around them will be coming out as well. So I'm just going to move the new parts out of the way for right now, so we can start cracking on in here. Also, I'll show you a bit of safety, because all of these are computer components in here. This is called an ESD bracelet, electrostatic discharge bracelet. So this you wear. I'm going to be wearing it probably on my ankle, and this end goes to a ground. The clip can come off, and this is a banana clip. You could plug this straight into the ground of an outlet. I'm going to have the clip on, and the clip is going to be connected to the table, which is pretty much a big metal piece, which is ground itself. I could also use my Mac Pro down there, which is all metal, but I think I'm just going to use the table for right now. So I got that on, and just putting this right around my ankle. So that is out of the way. All right, let's begin here. So that is the main side panel I just took off, the windowed side panel. And let's get the light on. Yes, Delvin, this is very detailed and very intricate. There's a lot of little parts here. And also, this wood, this is basically non-conductive, so this is perfect to build on as any kind of wood. The floor I have is tile. You really do not ever want to build on top of carpet. You will have static issues. All right, so SLI bridge coming off. Now, the graphics cards, I'm not going to fully disassemble. I'm just going to get them out enough so they're hanging a little bit. This is the main bundle. This thick bundle of wire is what powers the graphics cards, because they are hungry for some electricity. Trusty little screwdriver. Get these little thumb screws out on the side here. Even though they're thumb screws, I cannot get to them with my thumbs. So that is out. The little clip back here is out. This should slide. Want to disconnect the fans because those are not coming out. So essentially I'm just going to have these kind of sitting right here. So there's one. And two graphics cards linked together is essentially called SLI for NVIDIA, or what is it? Crossfire for AMD. Those are good. This should just slide out as well. Good. And these are just going to sit here essentially. Oh, the other thing I want to do is on the back side. So the back side of this, the back panel, that's really where you get your motherboard access. So the CPU has a lot of pressure on it. And the motherboard itself can't handle all of the pressure, so there's this clamping system that goes on the back and the front of the motherboard. So that is accessible from the back panel, which I'll be removing too. Anthony, no, there is no risk of being shocked really by you because the main power back here, that's unplugged. So there's no active electricity coming out of the computer system. You have static electricity on you. The static electricity you can build up is enough to kill basically these sensitive components. All right, so I got graphics cards out, a little bit more room in here. Next, this right here is the CPU cooler. I'll be removing this radiator. It's essentially like a car. It takes heat from the CPU through these fluid-filled tubes into the radiator. Fans push the heat out. I have to get a little swig. So now, back here, there are 4 screws. The other thing you have to always be careful of is the screws. These are very small and can be misplaced very easy. So you have to know where all the screws are. And some of them look very similar, but the threads are different. So you don't want to break the screws. Hello, Pete. Thank you for joining. So, Pete, this is probably going to become a regular occurrence on my YouTube channel, is this games and streams thing. You are very welcome, Anthony. That's why I love doing this, and I love sharing my knowledge with everybody. So I'm sharing my computer building and gaming skill knowledge with you guys. And the last one here, the last screw, gotta be careful because this whole thing is about to fall right out of the computer case. Just like that. That's why I hold this. So this will completely be coming out because I need to remove the other end of the CPU cooler to get the CPU out. So I'm probably going to keep this fan in place for right now that's back here because it's just going to go right back in the same spot. But what I do need to change, and I'll show you guys in here, just got to shrink the tripod a little bit. This is new, so new setup, so I'm trying this. All right, hopefully you can learn too, Pete. I'm not sure if you've ever done game streaming or computer building, but it is really fun. And also stress relieving too. So, all right, this shot looks like it works fine. All right, so these tubes are connected to the CPU cooler, which is on here. Now the next thing I'm going to do is remove, there's 4 screws holding the CPU cooler in place. Oh, there's also a USB cable. Just gotta remove this off to the side there. And this you want to do in a crisscross pattern, very similar to lug nuts on a car. You don't want to tighten those down in a circular order. You want to crisscross or star pattern with those. And see, these are all different, these screws. Oh, that fell. Luckily, everything is open, so I should be able to just grab this down here. So I can see where it went. Some more light. Huh, I don't see it at the moment. That is interesting. It's gone. Starting to remove some of these cords. I wouldn't say necessarily fragile, but they're sensitive to electrostatic stuff. Although, for instance, these graphics cards, these are $700 each, just for those 2 components. So you do want to be a little gingerly with them, just because they're high value. Let me see if I get the rest of these screws out then. So the more you remove, the easier it is. I just want to make sure I don't drop any more. And this is the last one here. Ooh, almost dropped that one. And this should just slide right out. And a CPU fan. So this is the back side of the CPU cooler. You can see the imprint from the thermal paste. So that's the size of the CPU. So this is copper. Copper is very conductive for electricity and heat. So this takes the heat away from the CPU into the copper through the tubing, and there's a pump in here too. So this I will be reusing. And I'll be cleaning that off too. Oh, I probably should have grabbed some alcohol swabs. Yes, it sounded like it fell to the in here. Now I have a little bit more room to see. If not, I'll have to just unplug these things. One by one, just to see where it goes. I didn't want to have to unplug the whole power supply system. Huh. I still don't see it. Yeah, it's somewhere in here. Alright, let's see. I got all these unplugged. There it is. Hiding back here. Alright. There's the fourth one. Now it's just a matter of plugging all these back in. There's a lot of power cables for different things on the motherboard. The CPU has its own dedicated power. So this one's CPU. This looks like power, graphics power. There's an auxiliary for, that's the wrong one. Here's a couple of those. Almost done plugging these back in. SATA for the hard drives. Perif is for some auxiliary stuff. And it looks like the last one, which is another graphics card. Power. There are 4 separate power cables bundled together. All right. All that is plugged back in, thankfully. All right, you're starting to see it get a little bit more open in here. And the CPU is that silver square right in there. Whew, drink time. So, it's not a lot of stuff in the way, but if something like the screw falls, you gotta be able to get everything else out. And those power supply cables are pretty much a nemesis to everybody. Cable management, you can have a lazy approach, and you can have a ultra like ADD approach to it. I had a little bit of the mix. I kind of grabbed them together, round them in the back. It keeps everything out of the way, nice airflow. The Bitcoin situation, I think, is still out of control, but that's a cryptocurrency in general. Cryptocurrency is essentially you're printing money. So like the DTube thing that I was talking about, with DTube, I upload a video, just like here I'm streaming. I could stream to DTube. I could just upload videos to DTube. Just from the upload, I make money. Then from all the views, slowly making more money. If you're on DTube and you share my video, you make money and I make money. And you might be saying, where is this money coming from? Well, printing money. That's essentially what it's doing. It's digitally printing it. You make just new lines of code, and making these new lines of code is part of Bitcoin. Or Steam coin, or just Steam is what DTube uses. Then for me to get US dollar, which is where my main currency is, I have to take Steam and convert it to either Ethereum or Bitcoin. And Ethereum's another more stable version of Bitcoin. And then from either of those, Ethereum or Bitcoin, then I have to convert that to US dollar. All right. Back into here. So we got a good chunk of the mother. I'm going to have to actually take this fan out. It's blocking something. All right. How do I sound? Everything sound good? Hope you guys don't mind a little bit of background noise. It's a little warm in here. I just turned the air conditioner on. Yeah, you can see the air conditioner right back there in the window. All right, so I got this pretty cleared out. I'm going to start removing some other things. There's little cables down here. I'm going to try and remove the motherboard with the CPU intact. So those are all out. That's out. CPU fans. That's out. Just took that away. The CPU power, that's this bundle here, provides power specifically to the CPU. So I'm going to see if I can tuck these away as well for now into the top fan. All right. And the main, actually I'm going to have to remove these hard drives to get at the motherboard a little bit easier. Anthony, Bitcoin can be used for legal and illegal stuff. It is a completely unregulated, wild, wild west currency. All right, so these two hard drives that I'm going to pull out store all of my video games on them. Just like a cache, essentially. These are, what, these are 4 terabytes each. So I have 2 8-terabyte drives. And I have little insulators on there. So there come the hard drives. I still need to get a little adapter because these are for optical drives, CD, DVD drives, which really aren't used anymore. Thank you, Anthony. I am glad to hear that the audio is going well. So, just tuck these away. Main motherboard, power cable. All right, there we go. And then some more SATA cables. All right. Now, let me just check and see. It looks like all of the cables are unplugged. So the motherboard is standalone right now. Now, there are tiny screws all around for the motherboard. Now I got to start unscrewing those. And let's see, let's start at the bottom. This screwdriver is not magnetized. I wish it was magnetized. So I gotta be very careful not to drop any more screws. These are really tiny. This one's giving me a little issue. It drops, but it dropped right in front, which is fine. Oops. Sorry, I kicked the camera. So there's one. Next one's here. I keep dropping these things. Don't want to lose any more motherboard screws. I didn't even see where that one went. Oh, I found it. Good. That wasn't too difficult. You know, you might be seeing this fall out of the top. This is RGB light strip. Gives color inside here. Alright, so we had a couple out there. Just looking for them. Here's another. And normally you probably would do this flat, not with the computer on its side. I'm doing it this way so you guys can see it a little bit better. Let's see. Just double checking all the screws are out. That looks like it. So now this should pull out. There we go. Carefully. All right. There's a motherboard. Ah, interesting. The cooling of the Atlantic waters. That has to do with this El Nino La Nina, but we'll talk about that in another stream. So, all of this surface that I have is wood, so I can really put this motherboard anywhere because I got to pull some things off. And I'll show you what I'm going to pull off in a second here. Alright, so on the motherboard, I'll just orient it the same way that it was in the case. Alright. There's the CPU, and you can see it looks a little bit gray. That's paste. That's that thermal paste that's on it. So I got to pull some things off here and reuse them. These two are called the RAM sticks. Those I'm going to be taking out. Right here, that's actually a hard drive. It's an NVMe SSD. So that has actually the operating system on it. So I have that. I got to pull that off and pull these two RAM sticks off. But I do want to put that somewhere safe so it's not wobbly. So what I'm going to try and do, I have the motherboard sitting here. I got the new one over there. Probably just going to hold this on the back. Oh, I'll show you one more thing on the back. See that shiny piece? That is the back plate that basically takes all of the pressure that's needed to hold the CPU in place. All right, so that's good. And then I'll just show you what it looks like in here. Let's see, can I zoom in? No, it's not letting me zoom in. All right, empty spot there. So now I am going to be taking out the new motherboard. And yes, hard drives are hard drives. They all just store data, but this is... Sometimes I hate this app. It's great, has a lot of tools, but sometimes I really hate this app because it's very unstable. The app just completely quit. Luckily, I was able to recover some stuff, but I'm just checking here. So back to the explanation. This is a standard mechanical hard drive. There's a magnetic spinning disk in here. Those are very shock sensitive, not electrical shock, like dropping. So you have to be careful with those because that magnetic disk has a read head, like a laser. You kind of think of it that way. The read head is sitting microns above the disk. If they touch, you just lost all the data. So I'm fine storing my games on those because the games just need a place to install. The save data does not get saved onto the hard drives. That gets uploaded to the cloud. Then the second type of hard drive in here is the solid state drive. I'll show you again here. It is this stick right in the middle there. Very small. Let's see if I get in closer. There's little chips on there, and those little chips are the individual storage units. Yeah, Teradek is the name of the company that this app makes, and they have a newer version, so they're saying this is an unsupported app anymore. I paid $200 actually for this app, and there's a new version out, but I've heard from reviews in the App Store that the new version of this app is still just as buggy. But it does what I need it to do, and I can do the green screen on it. So this is the new motherboard. a knife here. Yep. And thank you for saying I'm quickly back on. Essentially, once the app quits, I just click on it, restart the recording locally to the iPad, and then hit live. So it restarts up that stream. All right. The golden chest? I kind of feel like I'm opening that. Or in video games, often they're called loot crates. You get rewards or you find these hidden treasures. Open up the box and there's a lot of loot in it. Just see if I need anything else from underneath here. Yes, I do need a couple more things. So, this is the new motherboard, all ESD safe wrapped. Running out of space here. This is called an I/O shield. This gets put on right at the back there. So I'm going to need that. And the reason I am doing this upgrade is to add Bluetooth, which also comes with Wi-Fi. So these are antennas that I will be using as well. There's a driver disc, DVD, but I don't have a disc reader, so. And we're not going to do the install of everything on this live stream. I'll see if I can make a video on how to do that. Box is misbehaving. There we go. All right. They intentionally put these motherboards, and this is a much heavier motherboard too. They intentionally put these motherboards in cardboard boxes because cardboard and wood are not electrically conductive. So you can safely put these on the boards, on the cardboard. You can put the board on the cardboard and work on them safely. So I am just going to take this out. Because then there's some stuff I need to transfer, like I was saying, from the old motherboard to the new motherboard. Electronics have that nice new smell. So this is the new motherboard. Now, if you notice where the CPU is, there's a little black piece. This is plastic. That is a protector for shipping. All right. Let's see here. I think I see what I'm going to do. Because those tiny little slots, essentially, with the memory, the solid state, there's 2 of them on here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the top one closest to the CPU. Not sure if that matters, but they're labeled M.21, M.22. I should probably also read the manual just to see. Let me see if I get that out. You may say what you want about reading the manual, but it is very important. There's the manual. Let's see what this says. Sony has not done anything with the gaming computer industry. They are hard set in the game console industry, which essentially is a computer. It's just a computer dedicated for gaming. And because it's such a small box, these gaming consoles, you can't stick as much power in them as you can a full computer like that. I just want to see here about those slots. M.21, M.22. Oh, there's some interesting new ports on here as well. JUS. JUSB 5, so JUSB. Don't know what that is. Oh, this also has RGB on it. Always good to check out the board itself. So you know where everything is. All right, I see how it does SLI. Here we go, M.2, well that's the install. Oh good, those screws are on here already. Oh, interesting. JUSB, the one I was questioning. JUSB is for USB Type-C. Interesting. My computer case doesn't have that, so I won't be using it. So I'm pretty sure I'm just going to use the top one. This goes now into BIOS setup. All right, so I know where I'm going to put that. And yes, it's always great to read the instructions. Standing up in the studio light on me, making me sweat a little bit. Thermostat says 68 degrees. All right, so we're gonna start moving some things over. I'm gonna see if I can move this camera over a little bit. There we go, that's a good angle. All right. So here's a new motherboard. So these are where the RAM go. That's the protector for the CPU. These two silver things are for the graphics card. You notice it only has two. The other one has three. This is more gaming centric, so it knows SLI is the most you're gonna do. This is where the chipset is. Main power connector. There's a CPU power up there. So the first thing I'm gonna do is probably move the RAM over. So these sticks are channels. Dual channel is what I have. It could go all the way up to quad channel. Ooh, this one is tight. Don't want to break the old motherboard. Probably be selling this. And RAM right now is really overpriced. Oh, I see. I don't think those actually... Oh, yes. I don't think these actually move. Right. There we go. There's one RAM stick. And I'll just see the namings on these, if they are there. But does this do? Okay, so this one has both as spreaders, and they're notched. There's a tiny little notch right there. You want to make sure that is lined up the proper way. Also, you want to make sure you have the right one open. So this went into here, or goes into here. And nope, I did not match that up. Good. Now, this does take a little bit of more pressure than you're probably comfortable with putting into this. So I usually just grab the back of it. There we go. Those snapped in. And the next one will be going in here. You want to keep them alternating. You don't want them to be next to each other. So the first two, think of it as A1, B1, A2, B2. So I'm going to have B1 and B2 linked together. I don't think I've removed this RAM from this motherboard in a long time, probably since I first built this one. All right, here is the second RAM stick. Everything looks good. So this goes right into here. And snap. Good. So that's on there. Starting to come together. We've got the RAM. Next, I'm going to put the solid state drive in there. Yes, there's a good temperature. I like to keep it below 73 degrees and above 67. So usually between 68 and 72 it fluctuates. All right, so next, let's grab a screwdriver. And on here, there's a tiny little screw. The light's not going to be the best over here. So here I have the other motherboard. So right on here, that's the old good, that's coming right out nice and easy. Look how tiny that screw is. I don't know if it's going to focus. There. It's a tiny screw. And this is where my operating system lives. That is an M.2 NVMe SSD drive. So now, I go all the way back over here and install this. They're just adjusting some custom things on there. I was about to say customer things. Long day. All right, so see how this slot looks like right into there? There's also another slot right into here. I'm going to do it in the first one. And now, this basically is spring-loaded. Oh, this is interesting. I might need that manual again. Oh, I see. I need to take this back out. Just for right now. Change my screwdriver head to a flat head. I love having all the bits necessary. Let's see if this goes. Nope, that's not what I was thinking. All right, probably gonna have to take a look at the book again. Let's see. Let's see what the book says, shall we? English would be nice. It's not very descriptive, it just really has pictures in here. Let's see. Is this unscrewed by hand? No. Maybe it is still a Phillips head. Except I'm gonna try my tiniest one. Ah, there we go. So that goes into here. You don't want to ever over tighten, but you want to have it snug. Next, this goes back in. See how this hits right there? That is good. And now that top screw. Which goes right onto here. And again, you want to have it snug, but not too tight. Because this, if it moves, the connections will be lost. Oh, and Anthony, sorry, I didn't see your Celsius. Yes, 20 Celsius to 21, 22 Celsius is what I try and keep it at. All right, so I got those there. That's in. Almost good here. The last thing, CPU. Actually, before I get the CPU in, I think I want to move the brackets. So on the old one, there's these 4 standoffs here that this bracket sits on. These are pretty much just hand tightened in place. Just gonna hold these on the side for right now. Almost done, just removing these here. That's what the screw looks like. The last one, there we go. There's the last one. And now, there's the bracket. So now I'm going to line up this bracket onto here. And those just slide nice and easily in. And now I put these screws back in to hold the bracket in place. Wow, I'm having trouble with screws tonight. Oh, there we go. Oh, sorry, I think I was just talking lower. Unless I hit a button. Let me see. Maybe that's a little bit better. I think that was me just talking a little bit lower. Back to these. Good, nice and snug. I gotta, getting hot in here again. I gotta trigger the air conditioner. All right, I think I got that back on. Let me just see. It's a little bit too loud. That looks good. All right, so I think I'm doing a little bit better with that audio. You might just hear a little bit of hum from the air conditioner again. All right, making some progress. I just got one more of these screws to put in. All right, those all feel good. Next will be the CPU. So again, this is a little protective cover. So there's a little spring-loaded bar on here. Press that in and push it over a little bit. And this pulls out. Now this protective cover, you don't need to actually push out. The CPU will do that. And that's what the inside looks like. So until I get the CPU itself out, I'm just going to keep that covered down. And here is the new CPU. So on this new CPU, it has 6 cores versus 4. So I just got to slice this baby open. Oh, on here, usually you see the CPU out there, so that's the side you want to make sure it doesn't go flying out. Toss some boxes on the side. So again, there's the CPU. It's packaged pretty well. Gotta give kudos to Intel for that. And voila. Lots of cardboard because that is not electrically conductive. So this is what the CPU looks like. There's the back of the CPU. All those tiny little pins make contact inside here. And this is in plastic, again, because this is ESD safe. So right there, I'm going to show you right there, 8600K. K means this is an unlocked processor. So now I'm going to slide this open. I don't know why the motherboard slid. Pop this open here. And I know I'm safe because I put the CPU in the plastic, but I need a little swig. Don't want to spill too much on here. I should say you don't want to spill anything on there. All right, let's go back to this view. So now, this is where I was just when I saw the app crash. Popping this open. Now this is notched. And there's a tiny little triangle right down there that matches tiny little dot on the side there. So, just want to carefully take this out. You don't want to try and get any oils from your finger on top, which I think I did. A little bit. But that should be fine. And these are called zero insertion force. You don't need any force. It just kind of slides in like that. That's good. Now I'll put the lid down. And as I'm pressing down the lever here, this plastic piece will pop out. And there it goes. So the plastic piece is off. It was a intermission, we'll call that. So here, CPU is in the motherboard. NVMe SSD is in the motherboard. RAM is in the motherboard. The last piece, actually, I'm going to install the CPU cooler. But before I forget, and this is a common thing with new PC builders, right back here, I'll give you two views. This is the I/O shield. Now the I/O shield is specific to each motherboard. So this just pops out. So this shield won't fit anything on this new motherboard. And also this is kind of sharp on the old one. So that will stay with the old motherboard. And the new I/O shield, this I will put in the computer case now. And also this one's black, which is very nice. So this just goes in from the back side here. And essentially it just presses in and snaps in, as long as nothing else is in the way. There we go. There's 2, 3. I think that was 4. Good. That I/O shield is now in. So next, what I'm going to do is start the thermal paste application, which will be requiring some gloves. Thermal paste tends to get everywhere. And once it's on your skin, it doesn't come off right away. So if you ever work with a computer and you're doing thermal paste application and you get it on your skin, it's not going to come off right away. It may take a couple hours for it to wash off. So I use gloves to prevent that. Also, it has, actually I don't know if this one has silver. It says non-conductive, but it's called Arctic silver. I should have thought of this before. I don't know if I can touch the screen on the iPad. Let me see if I can. Okay, good. That still works. Thankfully. So now we are going to switch, and I am going to move this back down here. And cross. Good. So here, on the CPU, and now that I have gloves on, I can safely touch the CPU. That's where we're going to put our thermal paste, which I have a little tube right here. This is thermal paste. This is the brand, as I was mentioning, Arctic Silver. So cap comes off. It's basically, this is just a syringe. And what you want to do with the syringe is you want to put a little pea-sized dot right on here. So as you're applying it, you don't want to spread the whole thing. That's way too much. A little pea-sized dab. Alright, and usually what I like to do is pull this back a little bit, so there's a little air gap, and using my extra cloth, I just wipe this down, so that's nice and clean for the next use, and I put this cap right back on. So thermal paste applied. You can see the little dot, kind of like a pea-sized dot right there. That's all you need. Essentially what thermal paste does is it makes the entire surface even. Because even though this is metal and it feels very smooth, there's little microscopic valleys in there. And I should have done this before, but there's the old thermal paste. I just gotta wipe this down. Now this almost looks like it was corroding in the air. So I wipe that all down. That feels smooth. And this is what it looks like now. And the way you want to have this set on the CPU is so the logo, right there, the Corsair logo, faces right side up so you can read it. And this is where you gotta find those screws, those bigger screws. One that I left in. Thank you, Anthony, for helping me point it out. So now I'm gonna slowly sit that on there and just hand tighten these at first. And remember, you want to do this in a crisscross pattern. Because this will evenly apply pressure on top of the CPU. And as the pressure is being applied right now, as I'm screwing this down, that little pea-sized dot of thermal paste is being spread. so that's applied. Oh, there goes my flashlight. So now with the screwdriver, I'm just gonna tighten these down, but now I need the bigger bit again. And then just do one last little tightening here. Sorry, my arm's in the way. All right, so that's nice and tight. And now, that I got everything in here, I got the radiator just sitting up here. This can actually be picked up by the radiator, by the CPU cooler. So now is the tricky part of aligning this inside the case and screwing it down. So I'm going to try and move all this back. And there's inside the case. Got some notifications going. All right. So this little contortionist act is a little pin in the middle. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to show you everything just because there's a lot happening right here. So hopefully you can just enjoy the ride. There we go. Okay, that's in. Good, and everything looks good back here. All right, so now, basically, the only thing keeping this in is the pressure from these tubes. All right, still going good. So now I can remove these. Ooh, sweaty. So definitely want to keep your hands dry if you are going to be working with electronics. And a little swig to keep me dry. Or not dry, I should say. And almost done there. So it's in. You can see on the back here, those are the new connectors. So now, I'm going to screw those down. I have these little screws over here. And let's see where those screws are. remember, you don't want to ever over tighten this. Just a little bit snug. Good. Nope, that screw's not working. Some of these, this is a used computer case, and some of these screw holes were stripped, so I don't think this one's working, unfortunately. Well, now that's stuck. Okay. Come on. You can do it. Ooh, I got it loose. Move that down here. I guess this does have a little bit of magnets on it. That's good there. And I need more of these screws, but I only have 3 for right now. Get the last one up here. Motherboard secure. All right, motherboard secure. Now it's just a matter of plugging things in again. And then once all the wires are plugged in, I can get these graphics card bad boys back on. Here we go. All right, those are in. Now, unfortunately, I can't actually show you this because it's way too small, but I'll just briefly explain it. So, the power connectors and all that, they're tiny, tiny little wires that take a little finessing to get in. They're individual wires on an individual pin, and you gotta line them up. If you don't, you can't turn the computer on because the power button on the front of the computer case won't work. So, let's get started with that. I think I might need the manual. Actually, I don't see it. Oh, there it is, I think. Yeah, let's grab the manual again. front panel. I was right. This is that front one. Front panel 1. Okay. Just gotta find the instruction for the front panels now. Here we go. A little bit confusing. I don't think there was a block in here. Let me see. Sometimes they come with these nifty little assembly helpers. That's a bridge. Oh, these are labelers. But no little nifty, no little nifty power button connector. So I got to do this by hand. Anthony just saw your question. Not really slots. Slots isn't my thing. For casino games, mine is roulette. I love roulette. And being the scientist, the meteorologist that I am, there is a mathematical way where I can always win at roulette. Or never go negative, I should say. I'll always be at 0 or positive. There's a mathematical way to do that. Also trying to get some other things plugged in here as well. But they don't always like me. Hopefully I didn't break my flashlight. This looks good. There's one. These are the SATA cables I'm working on right now. And there's 2. USB 3. I think that's that one. Yep. That is this one. Good. Now I need back my manual. It's getting a little warm in here again. All right, that's back on. These are such tiny wires. Hard drive LED. There's a positive and there's a negative on these. Reset switch. HDD LED. I think that's what it needs. 1 and 3. So 1 and 3 are right next to each other. And that goes, should go right down in here. Get the flashlight. I should just keep this thing on. Oh, I had it right. So, hard drive LED. And the next one, 2 and 4, power LED. And those actually matter. I was going to go a little bit backwards before you can go forwards, apparently. All right, those are in. Power LED. There's 2, so that's positive. Positive. All right, got those on. Whew, almost there. Reset switch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7. I think I'm doing this right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that skips there. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep. So that works. And next here is power switch. 6 and 8. So that looks like it also skips 1. Number 9. Oh, I did that kind of wrong. Reset switch goes there. And that goes there. Okay, I think I got those good. Reserved is number 9, which has nothing on it. Good. And 10 is no pin. Whew. Those are very intricate. Let's check this. Batteries are running low. You have 5% on one, 3% on another. I always seem to run out of batteries, probably because this is the end of the day. But I'm almost there. All right, next will be the main motherboard. This should be also fan connector somewhere here. CPU fan. Oh, pump fan. Those are different. Ah, I see what it's doing. Ooh. Anthony, there is science for that, but not my kind of science. That goes into biology and veterinarian science. I do know, I have a friend that graduated with her doctorate degree in veterinarian stuff, so she's a doctor now. But I have not done anything with that besides dissecting a frog in high school. I think for right now I'm going to use a couple different ones here. Going a little bit rogue on this. Just because it needs some recable management. So we got that. Motherboard, main power. Should be going in. Good. I think that's in. Is it? Doesn't look like it's in. Flashlight time again. Yeah, that's in. And next will be up at the top here, the CPU power. Which is giving me a little bit of trouble. Why is it doing that? Oh, I see. Are these supposed to go in together? If it is, it's making it very difficult. Ooh, there's a moth in here. No idea where this moth came from. It wasn't here the whole time. Come on. Why isn't that going in? There we go. There's one. Huh, this is giving me some trouble. Jeez. There's always one frustratingly hard cable. I got it. Oh, I think I got it. I did. Whew. That was a pain. That's in. Whew. Alright, so I have low battery warnings on everything. So I'm going to have to cut the stream here, unfortunately. I enjoyed talking with you guys, but this is going to be it for right now. I'll see if I'll just tilt this down a little bit. The last couple of pieces were basically this. I got most of the cables in there. CPU radiator and 2 graphics cards. that was it. So I'm going to call it here. So I do want to say, especially Anthony, you seem to be joining me the longest. You're the only viewer at the moment. But Anthony, thank you for joining. I hope I inspired you to maybe build your own computer. So, if you want to check back tomorrow, I'll be doing my live weather podcast, hopefully with fully charged equipment by then. And we'll go from there. So, the meteorologist Andrew Pinero. For anybody watching this after the live stream, if you want to see more gaming stuff and you want to see more weather stuff, which is my main thing, some little car stuff, hit the subscribe button below and the little bell icon right next to that so you get notified whenever I upload a video or go live like this. Have a great evening, and I'll see you all in the next one.